to our 2025 Parenting Seminar. It's a joint collaboration among the Simon Boulevard Cultural Center, the East Street Junior Center, and of course the Greater Portmore Junior Center. A warm welcome as well to our viewers joining us online. And it is my pleasure to guide you through this meaningful and important evening. Tonight we gather under the theme, Silent Cries, Recognizing and Responding to Your Child's Distress. Our mission is simple yet powerful, to equip parents, guardians, and caregivers with the tools to better understand, support, and protect our children, especially in moments when they cannot find the words to express what they feel. Thank you for being here, and thank you for choosing to invest in your child's emotional well-being, and thank you for being an active and engaged part of our community. I now invite Ms. Carrie-Ann Palmer to give us a word of prayer.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Ms. Rose. Let us bow our heads. Dear Lord, we are grateful to you for this day that you have created. We are above ground, and we are gathered here at the center, the Greater Portmore Junior Center, to explore this topic on how to better serve and attend to our children. We thank you for the gifts that they are. Thank you for choosing us to be in their lives. Thank you for creating them for such a time as this. And as we speak with each other and share experiences and pointers for improvement, Father, I pray that we will adopt the principles that are necessary to help us to really rear our children. And I pray that as arrows, we will release them to do great work in this world and to be all that they can be. Pray for your guidance over today's proceedings. Pray, O God, that what it is that shall be shared will really redound to the benefit of all. Pray for the technical aspects, that everything will remain up, that we can share as efficiently as possible with those who are not here present. Continue to guide us and lead us in the way everlasting. Amen.
Thank you, Ms. Palmer. We are just going to go for our icebreaker activity now before we start with our presentations from our distinguished guests this evening. For the icebreaker, I'm going to start with, in my high school, I was In my high school, I was?
Always in the pool.
In my high school, I always was?
Very jovial.
In my high school, I was? Anybody else? Anybody else?
A volleyballer. A volleyballer.
Because it's streaming live, right? So they can hear it.
Good evening. I was outspoken.
Great. Anybody else? In my high school, I was?
Very quiet.
Okay. Anybody else?
I was a shy one.
I doubt that very much, but you say so. We have anybody else? In my high school, I was? We're not hearing you, so we're going to pass the mic over. In my high school, I was?
Reserved.
Okay. So we have reserved, quiet, studious, volleyball, is it?
Yes, in the pool.
And studious over here, reserved, quiet, shy. In my high school, I was silent most of the time, quiet as well. So thank you for that icebreaker and you participating. So now we're going to have the introduction of our first guest speaker, who is Miss Candy Ellis, and I'm going to ask Miss Palmer to give an introduction of our first guest speaker.
Okay, thank you again, Miss Rose. Now, Miss Candy Ellis. She is the Chief Executive Officer and founder of Harmony Therapy and Learning Center Limited, an organization dedicated to providing evidence-based therapeutic and learning interventions for children with diverse development needs. She holds a Bachelor of Science in Child and Adolescent Development with a minor in Disability Studies, and has over 8 years of professional service working with children on the autism spectrum and other neurodivergent profiles. Her expertise lies in the application of applied behavioral analysis, ABA, principles to support communication, social, and adaptive skill development. Between 2018 and 2020, she held a registered behavior technician, RBT credential from the Behavior Analyst Certification Board, BACB. She currently holds an IBA candidate status, having successfully completed the board-approved behavior analyst course, and continues to advance her professional qualifications in the field of behavioral science and child development. Her work is driven by a deep passion for empowering families, educators, and caregivers to understand and respond effectively to children's developmental and emotional needs. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and welcome Ms. Candy Ellis to the platform.
Thank you, and good evening, everyone. It is certainly a pleasure to be standing here. I am grateful for the opportunity to address you all. I do hope that the information that I'll be providing this evening will be helpful to you, that you'll be able to share it with others, and of course that we can learn and grow together. Thank you. All right, so no further introduction necessary. Today we'll be exploring the topic that is both delicate and powerful, and that is the silent ways children communicate their distress, right? Especially those between the ages of 7 and 17 years. And this is an age group that often feels big, but they speak small, right? Our theme tonight, Silent Cries, Recognizing and Responding to Your Child's Distress. And the message I hope that you will carry home is that, well, it is reflected in our tagline, and that is that we should not wait for the signs for crisis to occur, but instead we need to start learning to listen and identify these challenges from early. Before I begin or I go any further, let us have a quick reflective moment. I am going to ask you all to close your eyes for a brief moment, and I would like you to reflect on this. When I was a child, of my child's age, what was one thing I secretly wished an adult understood about me? So when I was a child, what was one thing I secretly wished an adult would understand about me? All right, I'm going to ask persons if they wouldn't mind sharing so we can explore. Go right ahead. Yes. Would you like to share with us? I mean, no pressure.
Had that experience where
Okay.
I was hoping that an adult would understand something about me.
Okay.
Or maybe so far back that I can't remember.
Okay, would anyone else like to share something that as a child you wish someone would have understood about you or you would have liked to share with an adult? No? All right. Well, I will share my experience, and it is one of the things that actually drove me to work with children, and it was exactly what we're looking at the moment. As a child, I always felt like my thoughts, my feelings were a little bit above my age. I felt like I could reason way above what adults would have assumed that I could have understood. And I felt at the time that I would like to be a child psychiatrist, because understanding their emotions and their feelings, I had big feelings. I often did not know how to express these feelings, and, of course, adults would say, you're a child, this is what you should think instead, or maybe this is what is happening, when really and truly I felt like I already knew what the answers were. So that led me, in my initial years of study, to focus on children and wanting to understand children, to be a voice for children. All right? That exercise was meant to anchor us in truth that a child's silence is not the absence of emotion, right? It is the presence of emotion that they cannot yet express. And the empathy that some of us might have felt for our younger self, even though we might not have been comfortable in sharing, is the same empathy that we can use to guide ourselves in recognizing our own children's quiet signals. So when we remember what we needed, we become better at noticing what they need. And this will happen even when they aren't saying things out loud, right? So children rarely come to us and say, "Mommy, I'm feeling overwhelmed." They rarely come to us and say, "I'm anxious," or "I feel invisible," right? Instead, their distress might show up as attitude, silence, withdrawal, irritability for our teenagers, or just sudden changes in behaviors that even us as parents often put aside and say, well, it's the hormones, it's the age, it's the new group that they're hanging out with. And in some instances, that might be correct. But it still is the underlining theme beyond that is that our children may be in distress when they start showing us these signs. Because many children here at the Junior Center are involved in drama, dance, arts, and after-school activities, they may express these stresses differently. And I want to thank all of the parents here who allow their children to come out and participate in these activities, because these activities do give them a channel. It gives them a channel to communicate, it gives them a channel to release, but also these children will then at times show their signs in another way. So they might express stress through performance pressure, by trying too hard to please. So we might hear our children say, "Mommy, I really want to do well. I want to be the leader of this group, and I really want to come out and I want to show everyone what it is that I can do," right? So they're trying very hard. They might have a favorite teacher and they don't want to disappoint that teacher, and they might just verbalize that to you as, "I just want to be good at this." They might become overly sensitive to feedback. So again, they're performing, they're participating, and just a simple correction might cause them to cry. And you might think, but you don't need to cry for that, right? But that is just one way that a child might express or show their distress through that particular channel. Also, they might start avoiding activities that they once loved, So a child that was good at dancing, maybe somebody else joined the group and that person might be able to dance a little bit better, or they might perceive that person to be a better dancer, and suddenly they're not interested anymore. This person is now outshining me, but they might not possess the words to come and express that to you. But you will see it when they suddenly go, I don't want to do dancing anymore, right? My goal today is to help you to decode these signals and those silent cries so you can catch the distress early before it becomes a crisis. So you might wonder, why don't kids just tell us what is wrong? Well, there are a number of reasons. We're going to look at 5 of them. The first one is that our younger children a lot of times do not possess the words as yet. They're not fully capable of putting their emotions and their feelings into words. So children might experience emotions faster than they are able to explain them. And their brain, especially the part responsible for logic and language, is still developing. Secondly, believe it or not, our children might be trying to protect us, right? So they might think to themselves, I do not want to burden mommy with this, especially our teenagers. Or the younger children might think, Daddy is too busy, mommy has too much work, or maybe I shouldn't add my problems to the challenges that I'm already seeing my parents facing. And that is true a lot of times, and we don't recognize it because we know we are doing our best. We are providing the best support for our children, and a lot of times they are able to observe this and interpret it for themselves and not want to add what they are going through, right? Third, there might be fear of your reaction. So some may worry that you might become upset, you might be disappointed in the way that they are feeling, or you might become angry and they might get into trouble for speaking to you about what it is that they are feeling or expressing. Then they might genuinely not understand what they feel. And that oftentimes leads to withdrawal. So they're having these feelings, they're not sure sometimes what is causing it, or they're not even fully aware of what they're experiencing, and they just shut down. And finally, especially for our teens, there might be pride and independence. So for teens, silence is sometimes a form of identity, control, or even wanting space. Sometimes they just want to process what it is that they're going through on their own, but that is still an indication that they need support, and we will look very soon at how we can provide support for our children who are withdrawn and those who are feeling like they're a little bit too mature and too independent to be telling mommy and daddy about what it is they're feeling. So understanding these reasons will help us to shift from why don't they talk to us to how can I make talking to me feel safe. So there are behavioral signs of silent distress, and we are now going to look at some clues that your child may be struggling even if they are not saying anything. So I usually divide these signs into 3 categories. There are emotional signs, there are behavioral changes, and there are physical and nervous system cues. So first, our emotional signs, there might be sudden withdrawal. They might be overreacting to small things. We might see mood swings or them becoming unusually sensitive. They may even express feelings of hopelessness in small comments like, what's the point? Why do I even need to bother doing that? Or I'm not good at anything. These are all signs, emotional signs that our children are experiencing distress. And these often show up after a tough day, right? So it might be at school, it might be during playtime, or they might have conflict with their friends or family members of similar age group. And their feedback from that activity might just be, it doesn't make sense. I don't want to do that anymore. Some behavioral changes include avoiding their favorite after-school program, like the junior center They don't want to come anymore. Losing interest in their hobbies that they once loved, or changes in their sleep pattern or appetite, as well as more arguments and resistance, resulting in them isolating themselves, whether from the family or from friends. So for example, a child who loves drama class suddenly refuses to go, or a usually talkative teen becomes very quiet and stays in their room, maybe listening to music or playing games, isolating themselves. Finally, there are physical and nervous system cues. So how many times have you had a child wake up in the morning, multiple mornings, and say, oh, I have a tummy ache, I don't want to go to school today. I have a headache. Mommy, I am feeling so sick. And you check the temperature and you listen if there is any congestion on the chest, and you say, okay, you give them some garlic tea or a little bit. Right, they might drag their feet going to school, or for the teens, they might take an extended period of time to get ready. They are not interested in going to school today. These are some of the physical and nervous system cues: the stomach aches, restlessness or fidgeting. For the younger children, trouble sitting still, and of course the fatigue and changes in their breathing patterns. So these are nervous system cues. They are signs of their internal alarm systems becoming activated, right? That psychological aspect of what is going on is now affecting them physically. And when you start seeing shifts in 2 or more of these categories, so that is the emotional, the physical or nervous, and the behavioral, well, it's often a sign that something deeper is going on. Why are early signs important? Why does it matter to identify these challenges early? Well, as our tagline states, let's not wait until there is a crisis. Let's start learning to listen today. When distress goes unnoticed, a number of things can happen. So children start bottling up their emotions. They withdraw from safe adults, mommy, daddy, maybe an aunt, the guidance counselor at school. They no longer feel comfortable talking to persons. They seek comfort in unsafe spaces. We see our young ladies seeking the attention of boys. We see the boys starting to smoke or starting to hang out with the wrong group because they are now moving away from the safe space. They are in distress. They may develop anxiety or depressive patterns. I have noticed of late that it has become somewhat acceptable for our young people to call themselves antisocial. And it is what they would call a flex. I am antisocial. I don't like people. I don't like talking to people. I don't want to be around anybody. And that helps to foster that behavior of isolation. And a lot of times their feelings of not wanting to be around persons is coming from one of the many things that we discussed before. They're having challenges at school, they might feel rejected, they're becoming overly sensitive to some of the things that are happening in their environment, and not being able to communicate this and express it and work through it causes them to want to isolate. They may act out to get attention. And we see that in both the young children and the older ones. A part of what we see during assessment of our children on the spectrum is that sometimes the behavior, when they throw themselves on the ground or they throw a toy at someone, you might not believe it, but it's just to get the teacher to tell them to stop it. They just want that attention, and the teacher will stop the class, speak to them specifically, and they're good to go again. Our teenagers also engage in this behavior. Mommy and daddy are too busy to talk to me, so I'm going to sneak out, and I'm going to go have some fun, and I will deal with the consequences later, because then they'll have to actually sit down and have a conversation with me. And believe it or not, even if that conversation is pulling them up and reprimanding them, that time spent sometimes is what our teenagers are yearning for. Or finally, they might shut down completely. However, When this distress is recognized early, parents can do a few things. We can prevent escalation. We can strengthen trust by speaking with them, building emotional resilience, and we'll speak a little bit about that. We can help guide coping skills, and we can also create open communication patterns that last throughout adulthood. So let's look a little bit at building emotional resilience, right? We want to start with creating a safe space. So start with safety, not solutions. So instead of saying, "What happened?" try, "I noticed you seem a little quieter than usual. I'm here if you want to talk." Just open that door. Just leave that space open for them to come and communicate with you. And this lowers their defenses, right? Especially if it's not something that you would have usually done. Secondly, you can use curiosity without pressure. So you can say, "Help me to understand what today felt like for you." Instead of just asking, "How was your day?" I would like to understand what your day was like today. And you explore that a little more. You can also normalize emotional experiences. So you can say things like, "It is okay to feel overwhelmed," right? Everyone goes through a challenging time, a challenging day, and we try to stay away from pointing the attention and the light back to yourself by saying, "Oh, I had a rough day today too." You think your day was rough? My day was rough, right? We say instead, we all have challenging days sometimes, but if you want to talk about it, I am willing to listen. I am here for you. And we can also try to reduce the shame associated with not being able to master the challenges that they might be facing, whether it is at school again or it is within their own social groups, by speaking with them about those very same challenges that they are having, and that will help to build their emotional resilience. Create micro openings for conversations. And of course, this means that children often talk more in certain situations, for example, when you're in the car and driving, or when you're walking together from school, maybe when you're preparing dinner, you invite them to come and sit, and you just open that door. "Tell me about your day today," right? Physical closeness plus emotional safety equals open conversations with our children. We can also validate before we correct. A lot of times, we start talking about what they could have done differently before we look at the situation that they would have been experiencing or the challenges that they would have had. We move away from the situation and start talking about them, right? So what we want to say, if they say, "Everyone hates me at drama, I'm having such a big challenge," instead of jumping in and saying, "That's not true. I know you have that little friend and that little one, and your teacher loves you, and I saw your teacher cheering you on, and all the other parents were happy to see you perform." Instead, try something that sounds like, "It seems you felt a little left out today. It seems you could have had an experience today that we can talk about," right? And we open the door for that. "I understand that these experiences can hurt. Let's talk about what actually happened today," right? We can also help them to name their emotion, especially for our younger children, who will just come in and say, "Nobody likes me at school. Nobody at all likes me at school." We can pinpoint, fine-tune, and help them to discuss what it is that they are experiencing again and how to label their emotions. Are you feeling frustrated with trying to participate in a group and not getting a chance? Are you feeling left out because everybody else was playing and nobody chose you to be on their team? And that is very much different from everybody hating you at school. But again, we're not going to just say that's not true, right? Because we have to validate their feelings first. We can help to build regulation skills, and this is very important. Our children do feel very overwhelmed at times, and not just being able to express this, but how to manage those emotions while they are happening is very important. Sometimes taking a short break from what you're doing in the classroom, okay, you are trying, and this is what happened. Maybe next time when you are trying very, very hard and it is not working, you can take a step back and take a break. Give yourself some time to think about it before you try again. Deep breaths, especially for our younger children who get emotionally upset. They might cry, they might pull away, or they might hit another child because they are frustrated, because they are feeling left out. We want to work on breathing techniques, and this is something we do at home before they go into these situations. Sometimes we will get the report from school about what has happened, and sometimes they will come and self-report. Sometimes. But once you have identified, or you believe based on their language or their behaviors that you would have observed that they're having these challenges, then that is a good time to start practicing regulation skills. Writing down their feelings, journaling is also a very good way to regulate their feelings. It gives them a chance to express it privately, to review it, as well as with you, and of course to adjust for future experiences, as well as doing something creative. And again, a lot of our children here would have been exposed to dancing, drama, speech, music, and these are beautiful ways of expressing their feelings. It's great for kids in arts or dance since they already connect with movement and expression. Finally, know when to seek support. So, if the silent distress becomes persistent, if it becomes disruptive, if it is paired with conversations about harming themselves, or you're seeing extreme withdrawal, it is time to reach out for professional help. And sometimes that is challenging for us as parents because we are already doing our best, and to see our children being withdrawn, disruptive, or having these challenges, it is hard for us, one, to admit it to ourselves, and then to take it a step further to seek help. However, it is very, very important because as parents, your presence is one of your child's strongest protective factors. Having you around, having a safe space to communicate their feelings, and having someone to help them to navigate these big feelings is very, very important to your child. And you do not have to be perfect at it. You just have to be available. All right? So remember our theme tonight, silent cries. Children don't always speak words, but they speak with behaviors, with energy, with changes, and with silence. And for our tagline, don't wait for the crisis, learn to listen today. The earlier we listen, the stronger our connections become, and the safer our children feel to share their worlds with us. Thank you for your time. It has been a pleasure sharing with you today, and I do hope that you would have taken something away. If you have any questions, we'll take those questions after. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Ellis, for that insightful presentation. I don't know if everyone was listening, but I remember she's saying that stresses that goes unnoticed leads to withdrawal, seeking comfort in unsafe spaces, as well as our young people are now taking to calling themselves antisocial. Okay, so you were listening. Great. So we're moving on to our program. The next person on our program at this time, we invite Ms. Peta-Gaye Graham, author, counselor, an educational psychologist, to briefly share about her book, The Healer Version of Me.
Hello, good evening. How are you guys? I'm tempted to come and sit beside you. You guys look better than me. All right, so my name is Peta-Gaye Graham. I know that you guys must have seen this going around. You've been seeing it, right? All right, so do I look like the person on there or me same way? Yes. So I just want to tell you a little bit about the book, The Healed Version of Me. So it's not an autobiography, it's not a memoir. It's me talking to you, having a conversation about emotional wellness and how you can become a part of the journey towards healing. It's me using my story as a way to kind of help you to understand that I too can relate to the things that would hurt us, the things that would make us feel like we're in a spot or some level of hopelessness. I have been there, and what I've done is to use it as part of a resource to sort of help persons along the way. And in the same breath, I want to also encourage us, whatever you have been through in life, don't let it be wasted. You know, use it as something that pushes you through. Use it as a way to learn and to be able to teach somebody. One of the things that inspired me to write this book was because I went through so many things, and God said to me, if you have gone through these things, more than likely other people have gone through them. And so somebody would benefit from your story. It wasn't an easy write, but it's an easy read. And so I just want to encourage you. You can get your signed copy. The cost is just $3,000. You can also get it on Amazon if you'd like, but why wait on Amazon? It takes a while to come. It's right here at your fingertips, so you can, definitely purchase a copy. So if you have any questions, you can throw them at me. You guys sort of look a bit, is it the mosquitoes? Is it the heat? Which one is it? All of the above? All right, so it's very nice to meet you guys. I want to say a happy parenting month to you guys as well. You're all parents here in some shape or form. I myself is a parent in one form. And so, the journey continues. And what I want to say is also on an individual level is that, yes, we all want the best for our children. A big part of how we produce the best for our children is to produce the best within ourselves, because they learn more from what we do more than what we say. And so, seeking to heal, those trauma, those emotional wounds and abandonment wounds is a big part of how you parent, because you become a better person and therefore become a better parent. So I want to thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for having me. Please follow my social media. Please come and look at my booth. I'm on TikTok. You guys are TikTok families, right? All right. Oh, no, not so much? Okay. So please follow my Instagram as well at _peculiarplace_, and also TikTok at THVMBE. All right, thank you so much again for having me, and please have yourself a wonderful evening.
Thank you so much, Ms. Graham. And we're going to be moving on to our next presenter, Ms. Melody Samuels. And we'll be asking Ms. Vanessa Megu, the center manager of the Simon Boulevard Cultural Center, to introduce her.
Good evening, parents and teachers. Okay, so Miss Melody Samuels is an associate clinical psychologist with over 16 years of dedicated service to the Child Protection and Family Services Agency, where she works within the Northeast region, working in the parishes of St. Mary, St. Anne, and Portland. Her academic journey began at Williams College in Massachusetts, where she earned a Bachelor of Arts in Psychology. She later completed a Master of Science in Clinical Psychology at the University of the West Indies, Mona. Throughout her career, she has been trained in a range of therapeutic approaches, including cognitive behavior therapy and dialectical behavior therapy, which she applies in her work with children in state care. With some training in play therapy, Ms. Samuels uses her knowledge to support the emotional and psychological well-being of children and families. She has also played a key role in organizing and facilitating therapeutic camps for the agency. Outside her professional work, Ms. Melody Samuels is deeply involved in church ministry. She serves as a deacon at Grace Baptist Church in Oracabessa, St. Mary, where she previously held the position of youth coordinator. She also served as a full-time youth coordinator at the Mona Baptist Church, reflecting her long-standing commitment to the development and care of young people. Miss Melody Samuels finds joy in every child's smile and contentment in knowing that she has been able to touch a young life for the better. In the midst of all the trauma and pain being experienced by so many of our children, she finds solace in the light that she can bring to each child for a moment, for an hour, and hopefully even for a lifetime. Please welcome Miss Melody Samuels.
Good evening, everyone. Am I allowed to step out from behind the podium, Mr. Technician? Okay, yes. Okay, great. Okay, wonderful. I am more comfortable being able to move around, so please bear with me as I change positions. So good evening, everyone. It is so good to see you all here, and good evening to those online. And it's just a pleasure to be able to come and share with you from St. Mary, where I live, and also to share with you as someone who loves children and interacts with them often. So let's take a moment. You've been sitting there for a while, right? And you know, you want, I see some people want the AC, some people want the vape, right? So let's just take a moment to just, transition. So I'm going to invite you just to do a few moves with me as we get our bodies ready for the next stage, all right? So work with me now. Take your shoulders for me and see if you can touch your ears with your shoulders. Just give it a good faith try. Can you touch your ears with your shoulders? I don't know, maybe not. All right. But not like that, no. All right, then now I want you to take your chin and see if you can touch the ceiling with it. See, can you see, just try a little. See, just try. Okay, I see some good faith efforts there. All right, please take your chin again and touch your chest. I think this is a little bit more doable. Yeah, I think it's doable. Yeah. All right, I want you to shake out your shoulders like the boxers. You know those boxers, when they're getting ready to go in and fight? Yeah, just shake it out for me. Shake it out. Right? Yeah. Just shake out some of the stress of the day. All right, good. Okay, so we got a little blood flowing to our brains there, right? Yeah, so let's get into the presentation. So I just want to say a big thanks to Candy for sharing her presentation. Very insightful. I certainly learned from your presentation, and will take what you have shared to continue to reflect and share with others. So thank you very much for that. So I just want us to know and to remind us that it takes a village to raise a child. Do we know that? Yes, it takes a village to raise a child. And here in Portmore, the village might not have thatched huts, right, and dirt paths, but we have people who are involved with our children's lives, who care about our children, whom we depend on, and so we are pulling together as a village. So let's talk about being the village. That's the title of my presentation, being the village. Who is the village, right? The village is a group of people who interact with our children, including ourselves. And then we're going to also talk about what are the threats to our village. Because you know, say, the village, outside the village, there's the lions and tigers and bears, right? So we're going to talk a little bit about the threats, but really, Miss Candy really did that justice. So I won't go into that in great detail. What are the threats to our children? And what are the signs that they're facing these threats? And then finally, we're going to dig into what are our weapons, our tools in this fight of being the village in our children's lives, okay? So that's basically where we're going today in this short period of time. Just a little quick reflection. So first of all, who is the village? So I have a list of people here. You know, the village are the caregivers at our care centers. At our children's homes, they're the nannies, they're the helper who helps to take care of the child. The village is a taxi driver or the bus driver who takes our children to school every day. The village is the teachers at school, the janitors at school, the admin staff at school, not to mention the guidance counselor. Yes? The village is a pastor, the Sunday school teacher, the deacon, right? All those people at church and in our places of worship who interact with our children, Sabbath school teacher. Villages, community members, people that pass on their way to the bus stop, right? Miss Matty who runs the shop, the corner shop, right? Village. Village is the relatives, grandma who watches the children until they come home, yes? Auntie who they go to spend holiday with in the country. Village. Village are the neighbors, right? Mass Joe who sometimes send over for some sugar, right? Or send to borrow your machete for a second there, please. Right? Or neighbors. Who else would you say are in your village? Because I don't know your village. I'm from St. Mary. Tell me about the village that you're a part of. Who are the people in your children's lives? Their friends? Your friends, right? Family friends, your personal friends as adults and parents. Who else is in your village? Auntie and uncle at church, right? Church members and their children. Yes. Anybody else? The counselor that they go to, right? The therapeutic center that they go to for assessments and treatments. Yes. What about this place? Is this a part of your village? Yes. Who are the people here in this village here? Miss Rose, yes. Who? Miss Amuda, Miss Eddie. Yes, all these different people who have charge of our children and the programs that are for our children when they come here to the Portmore Junior Center. And I just want to take a moment to recognize what a wonderful concept this is. I mean, I don't know if we have something like this in St. Mary, but I mean, this is just so awesome. It's like something, a best practice. You know, the ideal village has a junior center in it. You know? Yes, man. So I just want to commend the staff here for your work and the Institute of Jamaica and those partners who have made it possible for this junior center to be here. What a wonderful part of the village. So what are the threats to our children in this village? What are the threats? So many, but I'm touching on a few of them. Child abuse. Yes? CPFSA, so must mention that. Child abuse, sexual abuse. That's a big one, right? Sexual abuse. People think it's just a little sex. No, this just a little sex affects people for the rest of their lives and changes the course of their lives. So abuse, sexual, physical, emotional abuse and neglect, not sending them to school, not taking them to the doctor when they need care, neglect. Then there's exposure to drug and substance abuse. Do we have substance abuse in this village? Are we aware of any people who are selling drugs or overdosing on drugs? Are we aware of that in this village? Okay, well, no, I say no. Thank God for that. But I'm sure the weed is around here somewhere. Yes? Okay. Okay, and that has an impact on our young people's brains as they develop. Okay, peer pressure and bullying. Did you know that they call bullying peer abuse? Yes, so you have child abuse, but guess what? There's peer abuse too. Abuse by their peers. And so bullying is very serious and has a serious impact, a threat to our children. Mental and emotional problems. So just like how we as adults have mental illness and mental health issues, children have them too. Yes, children can develop very serious mental and emotional problems. And then there's learning problems. This is a major thing for them because right now in their lives, that is what they majorly do. They are learning. Not true? You want them to bring home the report and for it to say what all your hard work has been putting in. Not true? And so when your child has learning problems, major threats, and we know it's going to affect them as they get older, right? Is there anything else that you find to be a threat in this village? Got social media. Yes. And pressure and bullying via social media too. Yes. Oh, wow. Yes. And we cannot disengage ourselves right now from the impact of Melissa, the Hurricane Melissa. Maybe it's not such a big impact in your village, but certainly in many villages across Jamaica, it's a big deal. The impact. I heard them talking about how people are just, they can't help but crying and they're paralyzed, they don't know what to do and, you know, very stressed out, very traumatized. Yes. So these things, watching the news, can lead to vicarious trauma. You know, trauma, even though you weren't there, it still affects you because you hear about it in detail and you see the people cry. It can be very intense. It affects us as adults. Yeah? And so it affects children as well. All right, and then there's child trafficking. Yeah, it sounds like something far away, but it is right around the corner. Somebody inviting your child into their car, right? Just to look at this, and you don't see them again. And so we have the Ananda alert system. We have the statues, the memorials running out of space. Threats to the village and threats to the children. There's so much more, but we must go forward. So what are the signs? We thank Miss Candy for sharing that with us. What are some of these signs? And she went into great detail, and I appreciate what she shared. Really made me think deeper on some of these things, you know. So I just want to thank her. But just to know, just so you have it before you, what are some of the signs? All right, this has changed some of my my formatting, but that's fine. If content is correct. Right? So changes in behavior, withdrawing, you know, they're not playing around as they used to. They're by themselves, isolation, you know, acting out. Your little sweet darling, now start attitude, right? Or she come home with report from school that she backhands to the teacher. My daughter? No, sir. Change in behavior, acting out. Acting out can also involve getting involved in smoking, getting involved with promiscuous behavior, and you know, this acting out can go on in that realm as well. Changes in school performance. So they used to get A's, and now she'll come on with 30? 30? How could he say thirsty and this is a 90s boy, right? So changes in school performance. Then for some of our children, we might see them, as the village is observing, you know, so we might see them wincing from an anticipated hit. We're not going to hit them, we're just moving their bag and you know, and we see that there might be a sign of something. They might have physical bruises, a lot of bruising, and you're wondering what's going on with these children. And they might be expressing fearfulness, yes? So tearfulness as well, right? So crying a lot, being weepy. You know, you're giving them feedback and they burst into tears. And they're like, oh, what me say? You know, and so they're very reactive. Changes in mood, moodiness, emotional extremes. So they're getting very sad. And maybe for a long time, and why they can't get over that now? Anger and irritability and even sometimes elation. Sometimes and they're wild and happy and you're like, oh my God, that's just different. You know? So you wonder what's going on. So some signs sometimes that something is amiss. And then sometimes for small children especially, as you watch them play with the dolls, you know, and the playhouse and you observe them, you see this one hit that one a lot, you know, or this one killing off all the animals, everybody getting killed, right? Or in the play, the breeze is blowing down on the houses and blowing down all the trees. And so the little doll has to go and hide and they're crying. What? They're processing the threats that they're experiencing. Yeah? And these are things that we need to observe as people in the village. So I am not necessarily just aiming at parents here. I am talking to the village, to all of us who interact not just with our children, but with children in the classroom, with children on the street walking past our shops, with children in our boss's home as we clean, we observe them, yeah, and we see things. We are the village. And so what are our tools, village? What are the tools that we have to be a part of a responsible village? Miss Ellis shared with us some of these things that we can do as parents, and those apply to us as well. Although some of them are more intimate and more appropriate for the home. So I'm going to be talking more about those in a general sense that we as general village people can bear in mind and make use of. So let's talk about our tools. So you have the fireman there. We have to be part of the firefighting team, or part of the, one member of the village is a firefighter. So we are going to be one of those. So first of all, villagers, we need to open our eye. Yes? We can't just deal with the money, dealing with the cleaning, and don't pay attention to nothing around us. We have to open our eyes and see what is going on in order for our village to be preserved from the lions and tigers and bears. Everybody has to know that we're part of it. It can't be that we're sitting down, shelling peas. The lion is out there, over by Mass Joe yard, but it's not my yard. Continue shelling peas. It can't work that way. When I must shout out and say, Mass Joe, lion there gate. Not true. Of course, because today for him, tomorrow for you. Yes? So we have to be observant, be alert, and notice changes. So if something feels off with the children that you know, that you come in contact with, pay attention and say, what's going on? Observe. And then if we notice these things, it is important for us to advisedly, right, wisely, depending on the situation, say something to the parents. Because sometimes we parents are so busy. We know, so we are giving them food, clothes, shelter, sending them to school, taking them to the doctor for their checkups. We don't realize what's going on until Miss Mattie said, hey, watch her. Notice that she's been doing that from the other day. And then finally the parent can get to see that something is amiss, right? So we need to say something to the parents. Be careful about keeping secrets from parents, okay? Now, again, I say we have to be wise, yes, because sometimes the parents is the issue. And, we have to be careful about how we deal with and treat with that communication. But please seriously consider and think about what you would want in terms of getting the parents to notice what's going on, what you've observed. Then, if it is a situation where you can't speak to the parents, and even if you can, but you are a prescribed person, and I'll talk some more about that, you have to report if you have observed signs of abuse. You have to report it to CPFSA. By the way, what's CPFSA again? No. So child protective, all right? Anybody else want to try? Child protection, CPFSA. CPFSA. Child Protection and Family Services Agency, right? So that's my agency. So CPFSA. So you have to report it. And so what's the number for CPFSA to report child abuse? 211, right? So 211 is the first one. But sometimes 211 does give trouble, I have to admit. Sometimes it gives a little trouble. We're working on stabilizing it. So in the meantime, 878-2882. 878-2882. 878-2882. All right, okay. Not music class. All right, so 878-2882. Report it, because you might be the one to save a life. All right, or you might be able to want to change the course of a life. All right, so report abuse, please. Teachers, guidance counselors, people who are working at daycare centers, pastors, you're all people who are required by law. Once you work with children, you're required by law to report. Okay, quickly moving along. sometimes we need to say something to the child. You know, if it's a child that you know and you have a relationship with, sometimes we need to speak to them. You know, and many times, especially when they're getting up into the teenage years, they don't want to talk to the parents, right? But they might say something to you. They might talk to you. So if you have that relationship, or if you are minded as a villager to develop that relationship with a child, talk with them and ask them what's going on, or just give them a place where they can speak with you. But you want to be somebody they can speak to without feeling judged, you know? Miss Ellis mentioned it previously. Don't jump to judging and to say, oh, you should have never, or why you do that, or, you know, that kind of judgmental, making a conclusion before the person has a chance to express themselves. Can you be the adult in a child's life who they can come to, they can tell anything? You will listen without judgment and hear their side of the story, and then you can share with them and offer feedback once they have been able to express themselves. Can you be that person? Children need that person in their lives. Parents are often very busy, so much water under the bridge with these teenagers. They might have shouted at that time, and it's kind of hard for the teenagers to come talk to them. Can you be that person? You know, so I want to challenge you as villagers. Speak to somebody, speak to the child once you notice that something is up. And even before that, ask them about their life and what's interesting in their life, and, you know, be a friend to a child. Even if you have to be someone who speaks to them and offers correction, but be someone that listens without judgment, okay? So continuing, what are our tools? We see the village army there, yeah? Strong women, strong African women and men. And I have to take a moment to pause and acknowledge the men in our presence. There was a man over there before, and our technician, Happy Men's Day. Yes? Happy Men's Day to you. Yes? Please give them a round of applause. And, you know, when you look at the statistics, you realize that there are a lot more fathers doing their thing and doing it well than we realize. You know, and although the crowd doesn't reflect it so much tonight, there are fathers out there doing their thing, and enough respect to them. They're home with the kids right now so that the mothers can come out. All right, so we as villagers need to offer positive reinforcement, man. We need to give them the needed words and whatever else to help them know that they're doing well. You know, so we want to be able to compliment them and tell them when they have done something well. You say, yeah, my youth, as a man, you can say, yeah, my youth, you're going good. You know, talking to the young boys and the teenagers, when they've done something that is courageous, when they've achieved. Yeah, man, speak positivity into their lives. Encourage them to do the right thing. Encourage them when you see that they have gifts and talents. Celebrate their wins and comfort them in their losses. So I just want to share this clip with you. I don't know if you recognize the movie, but just take a moment to look at this clip, one of those famous clips of encouragement and positivity.
You is kind, you is smart, you is important. You is smart, you is kind, you is important. Oh, that's so good.
Yes, so you know what movie that's from? The Help. Yes, one of those movies where we see the black maid working in the white person's house, and she could easily, you know, have been treating that child badly because of how she was being treated by the boss. Easily, but she decided that her role in that child's life was going to be a role of light. Can you be a person of light in a child's life who is probably having a hard time otherwise, but they know that Miss Punsi always I go say, whoa, go on, bright star. All right, hold your head up now, go on now. Yes, can you be that one? Can you be Roger, who say, yes, my dose, me see ya beat the books there, man. Good, man, good, good, good. You know, can you be that person in a child's life, right? You is kind, you is important. Yeah, those words make an impact in a child's soul. and that the village is useful, very important in doing that. What else are our tools as we come close to the end? All right, we as village need to be informed, and I guess I'm preaching to the choir here because you're here getting informed right now, right? So I want to encourage you to encourage the other villagers, you know, to get informed about what's available. Tell them about the Portmore Junior Resource Center, man. Tell them about the Simon Bolivar Center for the Arts and what's going on down there. And tell them, yeah, man, bring the children, you know, and get to know the times of the events and so on. What other community services are there that can help parents in need or that can help children to develop positively? Can you tell me? Do you know of any other places apart from Junior Center where positivity is going on for children?
Most churches would have a youth group that they would hold either on a Thursday, Friday, or Saturday for the teenagers and young children.
Okay, good. Youth group at church. Anybody else? What else is going on in this community that the village can take advantage of that's good? Or anything for parents to help parents? Yes? No? All right, so it looks like you need to do some research, and maybe Junior Center staff can be beginning to share some more of that information to find out what's going on in our community, resources that can help children and parents and families develop and just have some positive experiences. All right, so yeah, get to know what the mental health resources are in the community. So for example, do you know where the child guidance clinic is in this area? Does anybody know where the child guidance clinic is? In Kingston. All right, there must be one in this parish, right? So their child guidance. Ask your guidance counselor; they would know where that is. All right. So there are child guidance clinics in every parish and multiple clinics at that. Okay. So we must encourage the children in our lives, therefore, to plug into these activities. Tell them to ask mommy and daddy to send them out. We too, as well, must be models for children. We want children to turn out good, but it don't make sense if we want that and we not do that too. Come on, people, right? So it can't be that we are chain smoking weed and expect the child to, you know, to walk the straight and narrow and do them lessons, right? It don't make sense. We have to live the life, not true? Yes, man. So we have to be good models. We have to be good models of anger management, because a lot of young people getting into fights and bust off uniform and video go on internet and, you know, right? But mommy was around the corner with Jojo do the same thing. Can't be that. We have to be models of responsible behavior. So the song says, watch your mouth, what you say. All right? For there's a Father up above looking down in tender love. It's not just the Father watching, the children are watching us too. So let's model it, right? Whatever we say, the mean things that we say about other people's children and, you know, that kind of thing. Come on now, let's pull up our socks and try to live up so that we can produce children who are also living up themselves. Because otherwise it's hypocrisy, right? Okay. And then we need to educate ourselves as well about specific issues. What do you know about mental illness? What do you know about drug abuse? What do you know about the places to refer when there are issues? What is the CPFSA number? This will tell me. Come. 8782 882. Thank you very much. 211, right. Okay, thank you very much. Right, so to learn these things, know them, be people in the village who people can come to and ask, oh, what place again? Be the people in the village who know these things, because we love our village and we love our young people. And I have some don'ts for you folks. I already gave you some don'ts, but please don't offer dysfunctional solutions to the children's problems when them come to you. When they're frustrated, don't offer them a draw, please, or a sip. Right? When they're angry upset, please don't do it. Don't do it. Okay? Offer them an alternate solution to deal with their anger. Breathing, right? Deep breathing to calm down your system, right? Please also don't be sexually inappropriate with the children when they come to you and they tell you their challenges, okay? Sometimes you have to wonder what is wrong with us as Jamaicans because we just seem to be wild, but I think and I believe that we can be responsible, right? So let us, even as women, let us be responsible. The story has been, the issue has been raised about how some women are like going after the schoolboy footballers and that kind of thing. I don't know if you heard that story, right? But we can't be like that, folks. Children need to be safe with us. Children need to know that if they approach you as an adult, that you are going to be a safe person who won't bring argument to them when they are trying to get some guidance. Okay, a hand is there. Go ahead.
I'm not taking up too much time. To that same point, I learned a few years ago about the sexual grooming, and it's a conversation that we have to have with children no matter how young or old they are, because we are sending them out into different spaces, different arenas, and as you say, people are having conversations with them and interacting with them, and they can touch them in certain ways, and the child does not know that they're being sexually groomed for something worse.
Yeah, so please, I think some people don't even realize that they're doing it. So we need to look into ourselves and understand that there's an appropriate way to act with a child. And so we need to be careful. Be careful how we touch them, right? Be careful what we say to them. Be careful how we compliment them, yes? Let's just be careful and conscious about what is appropriate, because children don't know better. And many of them don't have a sense of when things are not safe or not appropriate. And so we as adults are the ones who are teaching them about this, okay? So let us be conscious. All right, let us also not egg on violence. Don't push the youth to go lick him down. Or me would have never take that. No, that cannot be it. We have to be the ones who are saying, all right, calm down the heads now, calm down. Come sit down right yourself. Come, stay here. You go home. Right? You must be the ones who are helping to cool down the situation and not egging on the fight. Okay? Adults, let us act responsibly. And also, finally, don't keep dangerous secrets. If you know that the child is being abused, report it, please. Tell the child you cannot keep certain secrets for them because it is not safe, it's not good, it's not for their good, okay? So let us not keep dangerous secrets. So just to give you a bit more detail about the CPFSA, all right, remind me again, what is CPFSA? Right, Child Protection and Family Services Agency. I'm going to look with some more acronyms now, but forgive me. All right, so for the CPFSA, here are some of the things that we do in the community. The National Children's Registry is a part of CPFSA, and they are the ones who receive the call when you call 878. Right, so they will receive the call. Oh, it's on there, sure. and then, so all the calls that we bring in, calls on abuse, neglect, serious conduct problems. If your child is having serious conduct problems, you can also bring them in. So they'll receive the calls, or if you come into an office, they'll take the information. Then an officer, a children's officer, which is a social worker, will come and do investigation. So they'll investigate the reports. Then intervention will be recommended by them. The intervention may include the Child and Family Support Unit. Don't hurt your head about it, but it's a CFSU. All right? So the Child and Family Support Unit is a way in which CPFSA tries to support families in the community without bringing them before the court or anything like that, or removing the children. We try and support them in the community through the Child and Family Support Unit. Then also the social workers, the children's officers will do what they do best. They might do counseling. They might, connect you to resources like PATH and that kind of thing. Help you to figure out ways to solve the problems that brought you to CPFSA, right? But then it may get as serious as having to go to the court. Children may have to go to the court, families may have to go to the court based on what's happening with the child. And out of the court, there may be a court order that is issued by the judge. So the judge might issue a supervision order. the child stays at home, but you must allow the children's officers to come and visit you, monitor you from time to time, okay? And yeah, if you don't follow instructions by the court. Then now, if it gets really bad, or if we come in a situation that is very bad, and we have to remove the children. We don't like doing that. So don't be afraid. When you call, the first thing is not going to be, oh, them are going to take the picnic. No, we don't like to take children out of their families because we believe that the family is the best place for the child to be. But some families, that's not quite the case. And so we have to remove the children. And when we remove the children, they may get a fit person order, saying that the government has to be the fit person because the parents and the family are not at this time. And they go into foster care as one option. We always try to find family members that we can put them with. We don't like to put them in our children's home. Okay, but the last option is that they might have to go into a children's home. Okay, and so that is institution care. So those are some of the ways in which CPFSA interacts with children and interacts with families in the community. And so the CPFSA office in St. Catherine, we have one parish office in each parish, is at 35 East Tradeway in Portmore, across from ADA Manufacturing. Do you know where that is? Okay, so that's where our office is. It moved recently. All right, so please, if you have a concern, if you're having trouble and difficulty, come and talk to us. We'll see how we can work with you to find a solution. Or if you want somebody to come and do a presentation at an event like this at your school and that kind of thing, you can come to us and you can talk with us and ask that someone be allowed to come. So those are some of the ways in which CPFSA is in the community and works with you. So finally, as we're wrapping up, here are some mental health and crisis helplines that you could share with a young person who's in distress. So if you want to take a picture of this is a good one to take a picture of and have in your phone in case, you have to help out a child. Right? So, or you might want to go to Miss Ellis's practice and get support there. Private practice is also an option for mental health support, but this is another sort of safe space. And then as I wrap up, then let me also say, children are the world's most valuable resource and its best hope for the future. So please take care of them. Finally, if you make the world a better place for children, you make it better for everyone. Be the village. Oh, I have a hand up. Oh, she wants to see
Thank you, Ms. Samuels. It certainly takes a village to do this work. And all protocol observed, I would like to thank our director, Mrs. Jacqueline Boucher. She's the director for all the centers. The Greater Portmore Junior Center, the Simon Bolivar Junior Cultural Center, and of course the East Street Junior Center. So now we are going to be moving on to our questions and for our panelists, our presenters today, Ms. Ellis and Ms. Samuel. So if you have your questions, now is the time to come to ask your questions. Okay? You can have sit at the... So we have 2 microphones. So, Ms. Megu, a parent would like to leave quickly, so she had asked me outside, so I'm just going to ask you to go to that parent to the corner for her question, and then we'll move to person with their hands up, okay?
Good night, everyone. So my question is for Miss Ellis. Okay, so I have a 7-year-old. She's diagnosed with autism. However, of late, I've realized that any question I ask her, she would redirect that question to me. It can be a simple question. I can say, what do you want for breakfast this morning? And she'll say, what do you want me to have for breakfast this morning? Or I'll say, all right, I'll give her the options. And then she'll say, what do you think is the best option for me? So I don't know if, because I can be a little stern with her, So I don't know if she's afraid to upset me or fail, but I don't want her to do things just because of me. I want her to be her own self as well. So how do I go about having her like make a choice, and then maybe we can discuss if it's the best thing than actually wanting only what I want?
Thank you for that question. It is often challenging to answer these types of questions with limited information. I would definitely need a little bit more, but I can say to you that practicing using other activities, and not just in that instance when you want her to, for example, choose breakfast or choose whatever, but maybe if there are games that she might enjoy, you can start there with exploring activities that she likes and giving her options there. But definitely I would need a little more information in terms of her scope and abilities to further guide you in that regard. All right, so we can speak afterwards. Oh, you're leaving. All right, I'll
No, I don't have any more of the cards, but can I give her your contact?
Yes, Ms. Rose will give you my contact. All right.
Good evening again, everybody. Oh, sorry. Okay. I have a 7-year-old girl. She experienced trauma at age 2. She has been in counseling since 3. And at 7, she's still experiencing the sense that she doesn't want to be away, like being in school without me being there. Initially, for about a year, I had to basically trick her, telling her that I'll stay outside waiting to prevent her attacker from coming in. After a while, gradually, counselor advised me to let her know the truth. And since then, she's been tearing every morning going to school. I used to take her and come back for her. That gave her a sense of some security. But since September, she's been going via bus. And going on the bus most mornings, it's hell and coming back because she doesn't want to go, she don't want to go to school, or she feels sick today, all sorts of stuff. How do I, because at this point, 5 years later, I'm thinking, having going to counseling for so long, going over the same information, she has all the coping mechanisms, she has all the information she needs, how do I help her?
The amount of information provided. However, what you find sometimes is that trauma can be very lasting, and it takes an extended period of time for some persons. Maybe what we consider to be enough time for a child to overcome something is just not it, just not yet. So I would encourage a little bit more patience. I know sometimes it can be very challenging when you have exhausted all the options that you have, and after that, all you have left is just God and time, right? So having understood that you are or have gone through counseling and would have explored those options, I would say continue to support as best as you can, continue to communicate. And again, we have to remove that time period that we believe is enough. The same thing goes for grief. You know, we can't decide when a person should have overcome a certain level of grief, and the same goes for trauma as well. So I just want to encourage you to hang in there, you know, keep on being supportive, do not quit the therapy and the other support that you might be receiving, those same coping strategies and, you know, mechanisms that you would have put in place. Sometimes what we do is we give it a break, we reevaluate and come back, but as you said, it has been some time now, and we just have to continue to support and hope for the best in that instance.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, ladies, for sharing, and thanks to Ms. Rose and her team and the Junior Center for putting this on. It's very insightful information, and it's really, really appreciated. I have a 7-year-old, and she displays some of those signs and symptoms that you refer to. The tummy ache, about 2 or 3 days now, last week into this week, she has had to be sent home from school because of the tummy aches. I noticed I do the air quotations. Because I do believe she does have some tummy issues, but I do believe something else might be going on as well. So I'm wondering, how do you find the balance? Because she really loves to play. If you give her, if she can play the whole day, she'll play the whole day, right? So how do you find the balance or find where that common ground is, where it could be that she's having these silent cries and it's probably missed, or she doesn't want her own way?
All right, thank you for that question. I would like to encourage every parent here, if your child is complaining of health challenges and health issues, please take them to the doctor, have this explored, rule out those true possible causes, and then have that conversation. We have been to the doctor. She has checked. They believe that everything is fine. We're going to continue to monitor this, but let's revisit that conversation about what is happening at school, right? I too have a child. She just became a teenager in August, and one of the things that I am currently trying to cope with is the 2 hours of conversation that we have after school, where she has to fill me in on every single thing that has happened. And it does become overwhelming sometimes, but I do believe that I have a very good understanding of what is happening at school, even if I'm not there. And sometimes that did not come out of what it is that I would have presented tonight, but just out of the relationship we've had over the years. But I want to encourage us to leave that door open. Again, remember, we start with, help me to understand what your day has been like. What happened today? Did anything good happen today? How did you help someone today? What was your highlight of the day? Was there anything that made you sad today? And we explore those things. But as it relates to the constant complaints of certain things, I would definitely say, check it out, rule that out where the doctor is concerned, and then start having those conversations about what is happening at school.
Yes, I would also suggest, and perhaps you have already done this, is check in with your village, so talk to a teacher, talk to guidance counselor, and see if from their perspective they have observed, any triggers at home. Another thing too is that you can perhaps try something more indirect, like drawing or something like that. Make her draw a picture of school or wherever you think that there may be an issue, and see if that could be a trigger that could give you some hints, or it could be just a basis of conversation that is a little less threatening.
Right.
Oh, sorry. I have been doing the checks just to make sure that it's nothing more serious or sinister. And I do try some of those techniques, like, hey, I'm not sure if my approach might be wrong, where I'm like, hey, so how was school today? You have any friends? Stuff like that. So I'm genuinely not sure. As I said, I do believe something is going on with her tummy, but I do believe she might be exaggerating the symptoms at times so that she can get her way of coming home and playing all day, right? But I will try and utilize some of those.
Right. I just want to second what Ms. Samuel said in regards to the drawing. Again, breaking into our children's environments sometimes often involves playing, right? Engaging them in play, engaging them in an activity that they like. It could be painting, it could be beading, craft activities, just things that would require you to be together in a space, and then sometimes the conversations will begin and we can start asking some questions.
Good night, everyone. I hope that we're all doing well. I want to tell you thank you for this opportunity. So I have a question and I'm seeking some recommendations, right? So I have a 7-year-old daughter. She is well-spoken, outspoken, I should say. And we have a very interactive conversation as parents. And from time to time, we ask, how is your day going, etc. And you guys have made some very key pointers that I will also add. But I noticed from time to time, she will say, Mommy, I'm not getting enough time with you. And but I don't understand because I work from home, I go to school from home, I'm always at home, and you know, we do our talk. I'm wondering if it's not enough or whatever the case may be. And she's our only child, so I don't understand what is going on. I don't want to ignore because it's a possible cry, I'm not sure. So I want recommendation in what can be done better and just to see if I have already done so or I could add them in my regular day routine.
Thank you for that question. I again want to encourage us all to set aside some time. Sometimes it can become very challenging even when we work from home, even when it is only one child. I would suggest here that you possibly you said that she's outspoken and she understands, that you can have a conversation with her about how much time she would like to spend with you. And so we have 24 hours in the day. How much time would you want out of that 24 hours? Now, bearing in mind, you just want to get an idea. You want to start that conversation with her. My daughter said 23. However, that's not possible, but we can guide that. And I would suggest that if it is possible, because it is not always possible, but if it is possible, and you can say at between 7 o'clock and 8 o'clock every evening is mommy and daughter time, you get to choose the activity, or we'll mix it up sometimes, but at least she'll know that that time is prescribed and set aside for her. And that is going to be in addition to everything else that you were doing. So you're going to reassure her that we are going to continue to spend time together, but I am going to add an extra hour or an extra 2 hours based on what you are able to do, right? And how frequently you're able to do it. And then we try our best to meet that time every day to just concrete and cement that for her.
And also, it really does sound like you have a lot on your plate. You're working and studying. And even though you're at home, leaning on mommy while she studies or types an essay and we exchange a couple words is not the same thing as time where mommy has your full attention, you know? So be careful about conflating the fact that you're in the same room together and maybe interact with having quality time, you know? So maybe in addition to or as something that you might want to do from time to time, and I hope you would be able to do that, is to take time away from the home space and go somewhere else. Not necessarily somewhere where you have to spend money, you know, but yeah, it could be in the yard, or you have a picnic outside with the same dinner, same lunch you would have had on Saturday, but you do it in the yard. It depends on what your space is like. But take some time away from that home space where it's just you and her time having fun, you know, doing something relaxed with no studying or work looming in the background, or housework or whatever else that is involved with being at home with her. So take some, you know, have some regular or periodic times away from home with her.
If I might just add to that, how many times have you been speaking to someone and they're on their phone and you feel ignored? Even if they are answering you, that is something that has taken conscious effort for me to get over. I am great at multitasking and my daughter is always talking, so I have learned to listen with one ear and work with the other. But what we want to do in this time that we're taking specifically for our children, be it half an hour or two, is to make sure we're putting the devices away as well. It is undivided, uninterrupted time with our children, if possible.
Good evening, everyone. I just want to say thank you to the Junior Center for having such an interactive, you know, forum for parents. All right, so for my child, he's a 7-year-old also, right? And very vocal, very smart, you know. So, but with him now, he has a temper, he gets very aggressive sometimes with his younger sister, right? So that's a problem for me. And I would know that myself sometimes I would say don't have the time because I do work, I do study, and you know, I guess sometimes we'll always saying, "Oh, Mom, can you just spend some time with me? Can you give me a time? Can you play something with me?" And I'll say, "Just hold on a minute," and sometimes the minute don't come. So I guess sometimes it affects him, you know. So and he gets aggressive, knowing that. Both of them don't have the same father, and her father will show more attention to her. So I'm not sure if he's jealous. I'm not sure if something is growing, and I want to know what to do. How can I assist him to validate his feeling? Because sometimes he said, you know, sometimes he gets so angry, sometimes he said he's sad, you know, and nobody loves him, etc. Those stuff, you know, have a whole lot of emotions. So I sometimes have a whole lot of emotions too. So, you know, sometimes it's overwhelming for me as a mother, you know, to focus on his feeling and to validate his feelings, you know, even though there are times when I will talk with him, you know, put aside my feelings, that's how I feel throughout the day, because I know as a child growing up, I would want my mother to be able to talk to me and my father to talk to me, you know. So sometimes I'll sit down and I'll talk to him and, you know, he will share some things with me and how he feels. So I want to know how to go about helping him to not get so aggressive against his sister, not be so angry, you know. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, first of all, let me commend you, because already I'm seeing good things here. I'm seeing your awareness of the importance of validating his feelings. I'm seeing your awareness of your own feelings and expression of those. So already you have some good things going there in a mommy, you know. And so try not to beat up on yourself too much, yeah? Have some grace for yourself, you know, and be kind and compassionate to yourself, right? Because you already are doing some good things, you know. So you'd say that you have a conversation with him and ask him how he's feeling and that kind of thing. That's so valuable and valid, you know. So do more of that, you know, do more of that. And you've heard what's been said before, you know, carve out those times for him, you know, on a regular basis. If you catch yourself being dismissive, it's okay to stop and say, "Oh gosh, sorry baby, mommy really should have paid attention," and then give him the attention that he needs in that moment. So, you know, be willing to admit where you made a mistake and catch up on it quickly, rather than just letting it slide, you know. And it sounds like you are sensitive to some of the issues that might possibly be there. So, you know, perhaps you can have a conversation with him about those things specifically at his level, mind you. You know, just probing what he's thinking about those things. Not necessarily putting ideas in his head, but just kind of ask probing questions that give him a chance to begin to speak about those issues. You know, talk to him, what do you think about daddy? And allow him to express himself, you know. And then you can come in after that, after he has expressed. So, you know, so I would say, right, carve out time for him, give yourself grace, and speak to him specifically about the issues that you think may be maybe the problem.
I would also suggest using social stories. YouTube does have a few that are good, especially as it relates to aggression, caring for his younger sister, so you can possibly search specifically for that, social stories for younger children as it relates to sibling interactions. And along with that, you can also seek to, when you are doing your alone time, try to separate their times if it's possible. Even if you have to alternate days, give him his own time and his own day. And if it is possible to incorporate the father that is in the home, to also encourage building that relationship as well, to overcome that feeling of being left out or not, you know, attended to as much.
Good night, everyone. I'm not asking for a child of mine, but I'm a track and field coach. I would like to know how to adjust a situation that I'm facing right now with a student. His mom died, and it's about this time it starts to affect him a lot. He's very angry, and I don't know how. Sometimes the hugs may work at the moment or talking to him in the present moment, but what do I do after? Because I only see him like for a couple minutes during the days. How do I help him navigate school? Because his father has to work, so I barely see him sometimes. And I'm like the closest thing to him, otherwise from his dad. So what advice would you give me to talk to him, guide him in the right way?
May I ask, give me an idea of what are some of the behaviors that you're seeing in terms of how it is affecting him? How does that present itself?
It's not say if somebody tells him about his mother, yes, he will be triggered, but he's like triggered by everything. Like if another student says something to him and maybe him not like the tone of it, him just get very riled up and randomly bad word just come out and my blood pressure that take me coming.
Yeah, so I think it's really good that you're concerned for him and that you're villaging very well, right? And that's, as a coach, you're there in his life and able to present a space where he is, doing positive activity and getting out energy, and so that's really good. So I think that you have that particular role in his life, and you have to be careful that you don't put on yourself roles that are not really yours to take, although you're trying to support, right? So you may not be able to solve the problem that this young man has in your context. It may be that he needs to be seeing the guidance counselor, right? It may be that his parents need to take him to child guidance if the grief is prolonged. I don't know how long ago mother passed, but it may be that he's going to need some other help. And that's an important part of the village that Ms. Ellis mentioned before, that we have to know when to refer, when to take them to somebody who has the skill sets to do the help. So your skill set is training in the sport and, being supportive, giving hugs and that kind of thing, listening to him, talking to him and encouraging him. And I think that is very good, and I think it's very important. And even though he's being reactive and that kind of thing, and he's going through, your role in his life is very important right now. And you don't know what you're doing for him, but you're doing a lot, right?
And ask him when he's feeling like that, if he can just use that energy in whatever activity he's doing, take out all his anger in running. I ask him if it's actually his feet. Say yes. Someone say, okay, let's do that then and see how best it works.
Another thing too that you can be doing is learning anger management techniques yourself, researching anger management techniques so that when the situation arises in practice, you can help to take him through some of those. So if he is being counseled, maybe you can ask to be involved in a session or something where you can learn stuff, research it, anger management techniques, and use them. So things like deep breathing, controlled breathing, right? Basic stuff like counting backwards from 100. So just have a list of tools that you can help him wield. So that he can manage his anger in the space as well. So research it. Yeah.
Good night, everyone. My question is how you deal, because I have twins, and they're 9 years old, but I was away for a while. So they have adapted a lot of things. One of them is abuse. mentally, they have been through a lot, and now I'm here, so I don't know how to deal with certain things at times, because when I see their behavior, I tend to get angry at them because how they're operating. Then sometimes I would say, Raj, one of them, he have a tendency to get angry against women, very angry. Now I don't know why he doesn't speak about anything. When you ask him, he get quiet. He don't want to talk at all. He pretends like he don't hear you at times, but he get angry when women come around him and rampant him certain way. He get very angry towards them. The next one is very hyperactive, very hyperactive. He likes to play and run all about the place. I understand, but sometimes I don't know what to do, because they get so accustomed to the life that they were living that when I come and I put certain things, they'll be rebellious. So I don't know what to do at times. I just leave them. So I'm asking what to do.
Yeah, that story sounds like a deep story, right? And there are many chapters to that story that I guess we would want to know more of so that we can better advise you. But what I'm hearing is that there's been a change where you are away and then you have come back. And you were away for quite a while. So guess what? To build back, to come back into the mother role and to have having them respond to you might take some time too. You understand? So they're not going to just switch a switch and then they're back to, mommy as being in charge and so on. So number one is time. You have to give them time. But time with you being consistent. All right? So I want to encourage you to dial back now on the just left them. That's not going to help you or them. You can't just left them. I know it's hard, it's frustrating, but you have to commit yourself to it, even though they might not be responding right away to your parenting. You have to stick to it. You have to be consistent with the plan of behavior management and parenting. But that plan cannot be run on the fuel of anger, right? Because they are going to, of course, express anger, which is maybe part of what you're seeing with one of them, with Raj, right? It might be sometimes your anger that is being fueled and channeled. So you have to, you would be well advised to try and find ways to manage your anger. Acknowledging that it's very frustrating when children are not obeying you, right? And not trying to work with you, and you love them and you care for them and you're trying to show them the right thing, and they're not working with you. That's very frustrating, right? And I'm sure there's a whole lot of feelings wrapped up in there because you went away and came back, so it's very complicated. But it's important for you to explore ways to manage your anger as well, because it's going to impact the parenting, right? So parenting can't be fueled by anger. It's going to kind of backfire on you. So work on that, and also that will also help your children with their anger as well. Yeah, anything?
I would like to second the consistency. As a behavior specialist, one of the things that we would have observed when a child comes in for therapy, it usually takes us sometimes 2 to 3 weeks just to break in to their space and they start realizing and complying with the demands. And we try not to put demands on them right away, but to first let them get a grasp of the environment and what is expected before we start telling them exactly what it is that we want to do. We try to make them comfortable first and to understand that they can call upon us and rely on us to give to them what they need in that moment if it is properly requested. So I want to second the consistency, that sometimes it can be very, very challenging, especially when we are putting out our all and we're not seeing it right away. But trust me, staying on it and pushing through it will definitely help to get you there. I am also hearing a number of parents asking for guidance and support. I know that it is not always the first for us as parents to go and seek counseling, therapy, guidance for ourselves, but I want to encourage you to do so, to help to, because it's one thing to do your research and to read what is expected. Sometimes we need that extra guidance, that extra support to help us to understand what needs to be done and to walk us through it, if it's even for a month, until you get past that initial training level of what needs to be done. So what your counselor, your therapist will do, you will discuss the specific things that are causing a challenge, which we're not able to discuss tonight, but those things that are causing a challenge, and you can come up together with strategies to overcome that, and you can take that and work with it. But I encourage parents, mothers, fathers, to seek counseling for ourselves. Some of us were traumatized as children, and we don't know how to relate to our own children. So it is important for us to explore that. How do we deal with, because it's one thing to tell ourselves that we're going to manage our anger. A lot of times our cup is full, and the only way we know how to deal with it is to shout and move on with our lives. So I would encourage us, if we are feeling that we don't know what to do, we do have the Family Life Ministries in Halfway Tree area. I think it's on Cecilia Avenue, provides that service. It is something that you have to pay for, but I know that they do offer that. And then of course you can, if you attend a church, I know a lot of churches offer counseling as well to their members, so you can explore that option as, you know, a more affordable option. But I definitely suggest that we all explore that option of counseling in terms of our own traumas and challenges.
Good evening again, everyone. How can we as parents appreciate the differences between males and females in our parenting? So for argument's sake, some females may get angry with their boys or be very forceful and rigid with their boys because they're just acting as how males do. And vice versa, some fathers may not know how to handle their daughters. What would you recommend would be the best approach that will sort of lay it open for better communication and an understanding of how males and females are?
Thank you for that question. One of the first things that I would express when my daughter was just born, and a lot of persons would give advice as to how to approach situations, and sometimes I would become offended because I'm thinking, this is my child, you know, I'm going to figure this out. But children do not come with manuals, and we figure it out as we go along. Every child is different. They will behave differently. We have boys that are sensitive, soft-spoken, creative. They want to sing and dance and paint and such. And we have girls who are aggressive, rambunctious. They want to climb the trees and swing on the grill and, you know, throw things about. It is important that if we again feel that we are not connecting with our children, especially in this regard. I have a son. I never had brothers. It was all girls in my household. And I have a son. How do I relate to this child? Research. Read as much as you can, speak to male counterparts if you can, and not just any and anyone, right? Persons who you identify as good, upstanding role models and citizens in your community, in your environment. Ask them questions. What was it like when you were growing up? You know, what were some of the things that you would have wanted to experience and didn't get a chance to, right? How do you think that I can connect with my son because I didn't have brothers? So do that type of hands-on research, ask the questions, and then see how best you can relate that in your own situation, and take every advice with a pinch of salt. Because again, we all would have been raised differently from different social backgrounds, and some of us would have experienced trauma in our early years. So you want to be careful in that regard. But I would definitely say, do some research, do some reading, and see how you can apply that to your child.
Well, what came to mind for me was the importance of communication with your child. Sometimes we don't want to just write them off or are so boys or so girls, and we can't understand them and so on. But as Ms. Ellis was saying, they're individuals, and it's important to try and establish a line of communication with them. Sometimes mothers, I think you've described the scenario that I see sometimes where mothers can be so aggressive with their sons in an attempt to father them, but they end up alienating them and just kind of creating a fear-based relationship, So we need to be careful as mothers that we ourselves are not contributing to the problem that some of our sons are having, in terms of their own anger management and emotional stability, because we feel so we have to father them, and we end up kind of doing some damage because we're being too aggressive with them and not giving them the space to express themselves and to be able to communicate with us, because the relationship is just fear-based, or domination-based. So mothers, I would, put that word out there. Let's be careful about that. But yeah, wise words, find out from people who are doing it well, who are parenting boys well or girls well, observe them and also get feedback from them as to what you can do. And also, you might want to be able to put your child in the way of, encourage interaction with those people who have healthy relationships with their sons or daughters, Are they the Sunday school teacher? Are they the youth teacher? The youth coordinator, Can they go to youth class because auntie so-and-so or uncle so-and-so, and, try and encourage a relationship with that healthy person of that particular gender.
If I might just add, I just want to add a little bit of balance to what Ms. Samuel said, because we do have some fathers who think that the mothers baby the boys a little bit too much. So I'd like us to normalize, as she said, the communication with our boys, allowing them to express themselves, and as we would have mentioned before, without judgment. Allow them to speak and express themselves without drawing our own conclusions and thinking that we need to fix this or make sure that they're being as masculine as possible, because it is okay. Make them feel okay to express themselves. It's okay for boys to cry and to feel sad and to say that this is affecting me, all right?
It's not a question, it's more of a testimony. My fellow lady here was saying that she works from home and she can't strike. The child can't seem to find it in her mind to strike that balance. I had that issue where my daughter would see me at home and can't understand why is mommy at home and mommy is not paying me any mind. She's here, and she would go to grandma and say, but mommy is here, so why can't I go in the room? Why can't I talk to her? Why she's not responding? The thing where you say you have to sit for 2 hours every day, I had to literally reorganize my entire structure. And at first it felt unfair, because I'm the adult, she's a child. She should listen. But I had to understand from her perspective that she's small and she's not understanding right now, and I had to restructure my whole day. So I had to find little ways, like maybe taking my lunchtime when she's coming home and have that time carved out just for her alone to sit and listen to everything that happened during the whole day. Feed her, bathe her, do everything that she wants to do, and then I would go back to what I have to do at the end of all of that shebang. Right, so a good hour and a half is just for her. Between 3 to 4:35, I can't do anything else. Some persons might not have that luxury of doing that, maybe the type of jobs that, because every work from home is different. There are things like the junior center. There was a particular time when I was like, listen, you're going to have to just go there every day and done it because I have this project working on and I can't manage this, right? But I'm just testifying to the fact that it does work. And with the breathing and the drawing, it helps. And even coming here to the junior center where she can relate to other kids and learn social behaviors and all of that, it has been helping on her journey of becoming somewhat independent and knowing herself a little bit more and understanding herself a little bit more and understanding, because there was a point in time when she was very aggressive because of everything that was happening. She literally would take up a chair to hit a child. That's where it was. And you know, certain coming out into these environments really help her in understanding how to relate to other kids without being aggressive or being angry in, you know, them kind of ways. So it does help. But for the work from home thing, we'll just have to balance it. We just have to learn to balance it, to try and balance some kind of way. Because when they come home, one thing she is very appreciative of it now is when she comes home, I try and take my lunchtime at that time so that when she comes home, she's eating and I sit down and I listen to her, and it's painful sometimes, honestly, but it works.
Which one? I'm a bit worse. Good night, everyone. So, my 11-year-old son, for me, I think he finds it very, the relation that he has with his peers and with the younger. He more relates to the younger than with his peers. Sometimes I wonder how, you know, he more relate to babies, make them smile, he plays. Smaller children, he's there with them, play with them. But with his peers, I don't see much interaction, or he stays with them long. He will, if they're playing, like on the tablet, they will sit there side by side and they will play, they will talk, but some of the time it's like he doesn't care if them gone east or west. He doesn't go much in conversation with them. I don't know. So some of the time I think about that. And then I also have an 8-year-old girl. In some ways she reminds me of myself. But there are times where she will just rub me the wrong way, you know, like some things that she may want at the time, because with my job, it is from like 7:30 to 2, and then I have extras, and then after the extras, I have more extras when I go home because you have to deal with home, and then I can't balance that time to spend with them. So sometimes that affects me, so need a little help.
All right, in regards to your older son, you are saying that you find that he relates better with the younger children. He does have a little sister. He doesn't relate well with her. And we do find that with siblings at times. So then I would ask and probe a little bit more about what the interactions are like with the older children, and possibly look into what could be causing the lack of interest as it relates to his own age group. We do know that children go where they are accepted, where they feel loved, where they feel engaged. And if it is that the younger children are the ones that he relates to better, or the ones that respond to him better, then it is a given that he would more than likely want to respond to those children or interact with those children more. So I would then question what is happening during his interactions with children of his own age group. And then you could possibly look at some solutions from there. Then you mentioned of your daughter, and how she rubs you again. Our lines of communication and opening that up, we can become overwhelmed with the day-to-day, but if we're not able to do that time every single day, once a week, every week, if it is on a Saturday or a Sunday, if we cannot do it Monday to Friday, but it is important that we find that time as best as we can and to ensure that we are consistent with that and let the children know, I am making this time for us so we can sit and we can have time together. And if it is a case where you're finding that it is a challenge to sit with both children at the same time, then you see how you can do to separate the time. So maybe your daughter could go and do something independent while you're spending time with your son and vice versa. But I would definitely suggest you start with spending that one-on-one time and trying to understand, especially for your son, what happens during the interactions. And again, as Ms. Samuels would have said earlier, asking other persons within the village who also interact with them what they would have observed of him and his interaction with children of his age, and approach it from there. If I might just add one more thing, I noticed that we had a few parents here who have children either on the spectrum or are having or exhibiting behavioral challenges. I'm going to leave my information with Ms. Rose, and you can reach out to her for that information and contact me so I can have that conversation with you. I do offer consultations for free just before, so we can decide if I provide a service that could possibly assist you, so we can have that conversation at no additional cost to you. Right?
Thoughtful questions and answers. And for now, I'm going to ask Mr. Muda to come on the stage. And we are going to give our lovely presenters today a token of appreciation from the Institute of Jamaica Programs Coordination Division. So first up, we've asked Ms. Ellis to stand in the middle. You can use the phone.
Hello, good evening again, everyone. Miss Ellis, we are quite familiar with each other. Yes, these boxes are quite cute, right? Made by your students, by the way. Yes, they were. All right, so on behalf of the Institute of Jamaica, the Programs Division, we love to say thank you very much for coming in and sharing your insights with us. I'm sure each and every one of us would leave with something tonight, am I right? Trust me, it was I missed most of it, but the last part that I caught, well done, well done. We appreciate you, and we hope that we can continue working in the future. All right? Thank you so much. Welcome.
And now we have Miss Samuels.
Hi, Miss Samuels. All right, pretty much the same. Thank you very, very, very much for coming out. I think this is the first time I will be working with you. I'm not sure if anyone else got the opportunity, but we are definitely grateful, and we're sending our gratitude for coming out. And once again, the insight was needed. 100%. I'm hoping my lovely colleagues, they also left with something. So here you are. Thank you very much for coming out.
Thank you, Mr. Muda, and thank you, ladies, our lovely presenters. And also, I have one more token. Mr. Muda, don't leave us yet. For our only male in the audience, Mr. Mowat, on this day, Men's International Day, we just like to give you a little token.
We know the men tend to not feel as appreciated as the women, but we know they play their role in society, right, Mr. Mowat? And so far, what I've seen, you are an excellent father, and you have always supported the Junior Center, no matter what the event is. Just now, you told me that you're even online watching us while coming over in the traffic. You didn't have to do that. And that alone says a lot, right? So once again, thank you very much for all your contributions. for your input too, because you're one of those persons that take part in the meetings and you speak up. So, happy Men's Day. I hope this gift can make it.
Thank you. Much appreciated. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Muda.
You're welcome.
And now I'm going to ask Miss Megu from the Simmons Boulevard Cultural Center to give us acknowledgement, and then we'll be closing out after.
Good evening again, parents and teachers. Parenting and teaching are not easy tasks. It takes devotion and commitment to effectively mold our children and young people and train them to handle the challenges that they face while growing up and subsequently in adulthood. We are grateful to our presenters, Ms. Candy Ellis and Ms. Melody Samuels, for offering insight so that we can be better equipped to recognize and positively respond to any distress our children are experiencing. We thank Ms. Graham for sharing and for motivating us. We thank the IOJ team, especially the team at the Programs Coordination Division and our Public Relations Division for their support in ensuring the successful execution of this workshop. Last but not least, I want to thank our parents, guardians, and teachers. And we have to also remember when making time for our children that we have to make time for ourselves. All right, guys, so you need at least an hour that is yours somewhere, somehow, maybe not an hour a day, but some time for yourself. And it's not that time in the night when them gone to them bed when you should be sleeping to wake up early the next morning. No, you have to find another time so that you will end up being well rested, okay? And able to meet their needs the next day. Okay. We encourage you to put into practice what you have heard here today as we continue to shape our future through our children. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Megu. And as we come to an end of tonight's seminar, I want to express heartfelt thanks to each of you for being present, for engaging, and for showing your commitment to your child's emotional well-being. Remember, children don't always cry out loud. Sometimes their distress shows up in silence, behavior changes, or withdrawn moments. Let us continue to learn how to listen, how to respond, and how to create safe emotional spaces for them. Thank you to our presenters, our special guests, our AV and technical teams, and to everyone joining us online today. Have a safe evening and continue to support your child needs. Have a good evening.